Millie Bobby Brown. When Stranger Things ends, Millie's future looks like a split-screen career where she stars in film but also produces as well. The biggest signal is that she's not waiting around for perfect parts to land in her lap. She's stepping into the room early where projects get shaped. Netflix has already lined her up to star in and produce a rom-com. Just picture it. This is through her own production company that she founded called PCMA Productions. Now this matters because it changes what her post-show momentum looks like. Instead of chasing whatever is available, she can help create the kind of roles she actually wants. She can keep doing broad, mainstream movies that stayed visible, then use her producer credits to prove she has taste and long-term vision. If the spotlight ever starts to shift, she's in a position to move it back by developing something new. So the most likely outcome is not a slowdown. It's a pivot into being one of Netflix's go-to faces for event releases. Now that is how you go from the star of a generation-defining series to someone who controls the next chapter on her own terms. Finn Wolfhard. Finn's post-Stranger Things path looks like it will be defined by range, not just growth. He's already proven he can step outside Hawkins, but the real test happens when the industry lets you carry the room alone. Hosting Saturday Night Live at the start of 2026 is exactly that kind of moment. It's not just a gig, it's a signal that he can hold attention without the show doing the work for him. From there, his career makes sense in two directions at once. On the public side, he keeps acting in projects that let him age up naturally, moving from teen needs into slightly stranger, more creative films where personality matters. On the career side, he feels like someone who wants authorship, not just screen time. Writing and directing fit him because his whole vibe leans towards building worlds and not just walking through them. So if you're predicting Finn in the years right after the finale, it's not just one lane. It's a career where he bounces between acting and making his own stuff, and slowly becomes one of those names people expect to be both star and to create. Noah Schnapp. Noah's biggest post-show twist is that his future is not locked to acting. He has talked about building a life outside the constant set schedule, and he is already doing the other thing that keeps careers durable, building something that does not depend on casting. Now we all know that he's still in school, he still goes to university while filming shit hit things, but he's also started a hazelnut cocoa spread company. Now he co-founded this company and he's shooting it like a real company and not a celebrity side quest. Now it advertises itself as a better than Nutella type of product, and it has a clear sustainability angle and real reporting behind it. That changes the way his next few years look. Instead of taking every role to stay visible, he can be selective and intentional. Acting becomes a choice, not a necessity. He can wait for parts that feel like a real break from Will, roles that prove adult range without rushing the transition. Meanwhile, the business tag gives him a different kind of spotlight, one where he can grow a brand, partner, invest, and build a long runway even when he is not on screen. So the most realistic version of Noah after Stranger Things is a split career, carefully chosen acting work plus entrepreneurship that keeps him relevant and control of his own timeline. Gaten Matarazzo. Gaten's future is bigger than the usual what happens after a hit show anxiety because he's already had a lane before Stranger Things. Now he started in Broadway, and that's not a casual flex. It takes training and endurance, and he can prove that he can handle the live performance pressure. Now that background tends to translate into a long career because it means you're employable in more than one format. Post-show, the cleanest path is a mix. He can keep doing screen roles, especially ones that uses comedic timing and natural warmth, but the stage will always be a strong home base. Musicals, limited runs, and character-heavy parts make sense for him because he does not need to be the action lead. Voice acting is also an easy fit because his voice is instantly recognizable and he can carry humor without needing to be on camera. The bigger point is stability. Stranger Things made him famous, but theater makes him versatile. Now when someone has both, they don't necessarily disappear when the spotlight shifts. They just keep working and moving between projects that actually fit instead of chasing the biggest thing available. Sadie Sink. Sadie's post-Stranger Things career looks like the perfect prestige plus blockbuster balance, which is basically the best combo you can have. On the prestige side, she went straight into Broadway with Jock Proctor as the villain. Theater credit follows you for the rest of your career if you do it right, and she made that statement early. Then there is the blockbuster lane. She's been cast in Spider-Man Brand New Day, and that is the kind of franchise placement that can launch someone into the next tier of fame. It keeps her in the center of pop culture while the stage work keeps her respect and the craft sharp. So if you are predicting Sadie right after Hawkins ends, it feels less like what is next and more like how big does it get? She has the freedom to make some major studio run with smaller, riskier choices in between. Now that's how you build longevity, skill, visibility, and enough momentum to keep choosing projects that actually mean something. Mclaughlin. Caleb's next step looks like it is built around being trusted with the lead, not just being a side character. The clearest example is Sony Pictures Animation's GOAT, where he voices the main character and carries the story. Now that's a major signal because animation lead rules are basically the studio saying, we can build a whole movie around you. It also gives them a lane that is not limited by teen casting windows. What makes this interesting is that Caleb has always felt grounded. He can do coming-of-age drama, serious roles, even action, but voice work gives him steady momentum while live action catches up to his age range. It keeps him working, keeps his name attached to projects, and lets him show range and performance without being boxed into one type on screen. So the most realistic path after Stranger Things is diversifying his tools. Animation becomes one pillar with more lead and supporting voice roles, while live action becomes a second pillar, with parts that prove he is not just Lucas, but someone who can hold a film. Starring in the movie GOAT is not just a credit, it's a signal that the next phase is being built around him, not around the brand that made him famous. Keery. Joe's post-Stranger Things identity is basically two careers running at once, acting and music as Joe. The music side is not just the gimmick. He releases full projects, talks about songwriting like it matters, and interviews around Joe treated like a real artistic lane. That matters because it changes what his acting choices can look like once the show is done. He doesn't have to jump straight into another long TV commitment if he wants time to record, tour, and keep building the music. That freedom usually leads to smarter acting picks. Instead of taking whatever is biggest, they can take roles that are specific, interesting, and short enough to leave room for studio time. It also keeps him from getting trapped in one character type because he always has another outlet where he is the one steering that direction. So the most likely version of Joe in the years after the finale is selectivity. Music stays constant and keeps growing, acting becomes more intentional, and the two lanes feed off each other. Stranger Things gave him the spotlight. Joe gives him control. And control is what makes careers last. Harbour. David's career after Stranger Things looks like he keeps scaling up, not slowing down. He sets a return as Red Guardian in Avengers Doomsday, which keeps him in the top-tier blockbuster lane and keeps his face tied to the kind of projects that dominate culture. At the same time, he's also branching into work like voice acting. He's part of the cast for Sony Pictures Animation's GOAT, which is a smart way to stay present while balancing big commitments. So if you're mapping David's next path, it's basically franchise muscle plus character actor freedom. He can do big Marvel swings, then take a smaller role that is intense, and then jump back into animation or television without losing momentum. Now that's the advantage of being established. He doesn't need to prove that he belongs. He just needs to pick well. After his divorce as well, he did mention that he wanted his focus on his career and the momentum isn't going to stop just yet. Harbour's real value going forward is that he can carry both heart and intensity in the same scene. Now that combination gives him the competitive edge, and it's likely that he'll keep on getting roles well beyond Hawkins. Now thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.